r/AskReddit girls of Reddit. What is the most obvious sign you gave to a guy and he didn't get it? With my boyfriend. On our first date he didn't give me a kiss and left and I just said, "What? No kiss?" And he just awkwardly laughed and walked away. I thought I blew it or something. Second date he asked me to his apartment. I asked if I could take my pants off since they were uncomfortable and we laid on the bed watching a movie. I had my leg over his body and left leaning in close for a kiss and he didn't kiss me. He finally kissed me when I was about to leave and was in the middle of talking when he did it. LMAO. Edit. He and I were talking about it and what was going through our minds during it. He told me that he didn't want to be rude and kiss me on the first date and that he kind of walked away so quickly was because he was nervous. On the second date, we were actually going to a race, but it was cancelled, and since I was an hour in the city during the night, he invited me to his apartment. I was wearing jeans at the time and I didn't want to lay in his bed with jeans. Once I invited someone to take a bath with me, and like 3 weeks later they were like, "Wait, were you flirting with me? Lol." I missed something similar. In college my coworker was giving me a tour of our workstation and we passed the Picasso rug. She said, "Could you imagine being naked in it?" I answered, "It looks filthy." I asked my current boyfriend to sleep in my bed. He got in fully clothed and was shocked when I took mine off. He got it though. I took a friend who's a girl out to the bars to help her get over a bad breakup. I'm a dude. We both got absolutely plastered and ended up back at her place, a studio apartment. The only place to sleep was her bed, so that's where I laid down. She stripped down to her lingerie and laid really close to me, basically cuddling me. I laid there in my jeans and button shirt all night, lol. Not so much that he didn't get it, as that he was just very innocent and adorable. Back in middle school we were hanging out and I said, "If you were to kiss me right now, I wouldn't stop you." To which he opened his eyes wide and said, "What, really?" I nodded and he kissed me on the cheek and blushed. Nothing came of it, but years later he mentioned that he realized what I meant a few days after our hangout and was so embarrassed, he assumed he had missed his chance. My now fiancé told me he liked me and I told him I wanted to get to know him. We went on a date and at the end of the night we kissed and arranged a second date. I told him later that night that I liked him back. After a few days he messaged me, "But do you mean like as a friend, or do we like each other the same way? I'm sorry but you have to spell it out for me. I don't want to get the wrong impression." Edit. Thank you for the gold. I've shown him this post, and he is both mortified I would share this with people, and humbled by the amount of upvotes and comments. He says he wanted to be sure, so he didn't make an ass of himself when he asked me to be his girlfriend. We worked together at the time and apparently he would have had to quit his job and live in a hole somewhere out of humiliation if I said no. Well, this happened to me as a guy. She was on my bed and looked at me dead in the eye and said, "People tell me I give great blowjobs." And I looked at her straight faced and said, "Nice, good for you." She had the most disappointed face I've ever seen a woman have. Jesus Christ, mate, if your dick is as thick as your head, she missed out on a huge opportunity. I'm a guy. I'll give you one from middle school. 7th grade me, talking to a bunch of kids on the last day of school, including a cute 8th grade girl who I had gym with. As I leave, she yells, "Hey, Jargon 832. I don't have your number." To which I reply, "Yay, I don't have yours either. Bye." I'm going to lie and say I instantly regretted it. Told the guy I liked, now my boyfriend, that I was single and was looking for a boyfriend, and he just went, "Oh, have fun." That's always difficult. Then later in the conversation I ended up calling him hot and boyfriend material. Yeah, bad joke, I know. And he was like, "Haha, thanks." 3 hours afterwards he texted me and was like, "Wait, were you flirting with me?" Now we're dating, and I like to tease him about his constant obliviousness. After a class in university, a girl who I had already pointed out to a friend I thought she was hot came up to me and said, "Your name's so and so, you're in my class. How did you get so smart?" I was stunned, like a deer in headlights. I replied, "I watch a lot of TV." I literally told him, "I think you're cute, we should date," and he didn't even blink. Fast forward 4 years and he texted me if I was serious back then. I said yes. Then he felt like an idiot because he had a huge crush on me too. We are best friends now though. I said to him I like you and I will go out with you, and he was like cool, thanks. I took that as he didn't like me like that and just wanted to be friends. Fast forward a few months and I kissed him and he was like, whoa, you like me? Yeah Dumbus, I told you that. He thought I was just being nice to him. We're married now. Even being straightforward they still don't get it. I'm not a girl, but many years ago a girl once told me she was a diagnosed nymphomaniac, that she absolutely needed to have sex when she was horny, and that she was horny right then, as we hung out alone together in my band's practice space which had a great big couch in it. I asked her questions about the psychology and then offered her a ride home. I figured it out days later when another girl told me how fucking oblivious I was. Edit. For the record, she was not a diagnosed nymphomaniac. She was just horny and trying to be really obvious about it. Girl I worked with when I was 18 or 19 ran her finger up and down the button-up shirt seam where the buttons are, said, I always wanted to ride in a Mustang. I owned a classic one, 1965, and I was like, oh cool. Yeah, that'd be fun. I can give you a lift home after work if you want. And then I did, and she was all, you want to come up and watch a movie? And that's when I hit deep clueless nerd and said I would, but I'm meeting some friends to play D&D. Yeah, peak nerd. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up. Thank you kind strangers for my brief and fleeting internet fame. Edit 2. For those asking, here's one of the old pictures of the car to have survived the 30-ish years since I had it. The car. I'm not a girl, but the idiot guy. I had just met the best friend of my best mate's girlfriend. She got more physical throughout the night to a point where she was constantly touching me, and while we were at a strip club, her idea, she suggested we leave as my best mate and his girlfriend had disappeared. We were both a bit drunk at this point and decided to get a cab home. When the cab pulled up at her place she asked if I wanted to stay the night and she would drive me home in the morning. Me being the polar opposite of Stephen Hawking, said nah, it's fine. My place is only a few minutes away. Once I got back to my place the driver asked if I was gay and everything hit me at once. Ended up back at her place a few weeks later after my mate explained just how dumb I am. Reminds me of my old colleague, F, at school which I met again 12 years later. We hung out a lot, had fun, and I always walked home with her. Then she asked if I want to stay with her because my way home was so far, 25 minutes by foot, and it was so cold, winter, quite okay, but I declined every time because it isn't that far and I'm not freezing. Then we made an appointment to go to a ski jumping event. The night before we left with her car, she asked me to meet at her brother's favorite bar because she needed something from him. We met there. After a few drinks we walked to her place. She asked again. This time she said that it would be much easier the next day to drive together from her place. Sounds logical, doesn't it? Much better than before. Up in her apartment, she started to prepare the couch and turned to me. To get up in time tomorrow, wouldn't it be better if you join me in my bed? And suddenly I got it. I got all of it and felt so dumb about the many times, and even this time, before. We sometimes need definitely much clearer signs. Guy here. Sophomore year of college, me and this girl had an economics class where every week we had to take those little 10-question quizzes. One day we are walking out together and she goes, I found all the answers to the quizzes on Quizlet. I'd send them to you, but I don't have your number. And I said, oh, they're on Quizlet Hub, and walked off towards my next class. Edit. We had been flirting a bit for a few weeks before this, and it was definitely a play for my number. I was just a goober and was entirely oblivious. Guy here. She slept in my twin bed with me twice. The second night, she spent an hour leading up to bed talking about sex. I slept fully clothed right next to her. Both times. Edit. And the best part. She talked about overhearing a couple having sex in the freshman dorms a year earlier. It was too dark to see in, so she and her friends crept up to the open window to listen. Curious, I coaxed her down the stairs and into my car and drove us over to the dorms. I parked and pointed at a first floor window. She laughed and asked if I'd heard them too. I told her that it was my room last year. I drove us back, tucked her in, and played Street Fighter Third Strike for an hour before falling asleep next to her.